I read 60 books this year, and it's time to officially pick my top 10. I've got sci-fi classics, modern first contact stories, true crime, new fantasy releases, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. So here we go, my favorite 10 books from the year, going from number 10 to number 1. At number 10 is The King of Diamonds, and this is the only nonfiction on my list this year. It was a crazy, interesting, true crime story about a string of jewelry thefts that took place in Dallas, Texas in the 1950s to the 1970s. I live in the Dallas area, so a lot of the places mentioned, whether it's like restaurants or neighborhoods, I was totally like, oh yeah, I know that place, I've been there. The jewel thief in this one is painted as part James Bond and part ninja who steals from Dallas's most elite families, leaves behind tantalizing clues, but never gets caught. It's a neat cold case story that really comes to life, but is probably only interesting to me since I'm from the area that it took place in. After all, we never even find out who done it. At number 9 is Downward to the Earth. Edmund Gunderson comes back after 8 years away from the planet Belzegor, where he used to be one of the human colonizers who ruled over the planet's 2 intelligent alien species. He's got guilt eating away at him for some past sin that he committed while he was last on the planet, and he's trying to repent for it, but he doesn't really know how to go about doing that. During this journey of self-discovery and absolution, he gets permission from the alien species to travel to the planet's sacred place of rebirth. And it's there he feels like he'll get answers to his questions that just won't go away. It was a thought-provoking read with this eerie vibe to the whole thing, like something strange is waiting just around the corner, which I mean that in a totally good way. And the ending ties this really satisfying, wonderful bow on our understanding of the planet and the aliens and Edmund's quest for forgiveness. At number 8 is Spin, and with this book, suddenly all the stars go out, and that's the terrifying opening. The story follows 3 friends, Jason, Tyler, and Diane, from that night on as they deal with this incomprehensible situation. Is it an alien invasion? Is first contact about to happen? But most importantly, why is the Earth suddenly trapped in a bubble where time moves normally on the planet, inside the planet, but millions of years are passing by in the blink of an eye outside this strange barrier? Ultimately, Spin uses these 3 main characters to explore how different people cope with the unimaginable. Jason becomes a scientist who's desperate to try and crack this space mystery. Diane turns to religion for meaning in her life, and Tyler tries to hold them all together, hold his small world together by just constantly being connected with them, and also he's kind of in love with Diane the whole time. It bounces between past and present, that's how the book is framed, and the past was way more fascinating to me, but the 2 timelines kind of help balance one another out. It's a cool cosmic mystery that was just the right amount of hard sci-fi where the science isn't too overwhelming. The 7th best book I read this year was The Other Valley, and this was a wonderfully subdued time travel book with a unique world that has a series of isolated but identical valleys, and each one is 20 years apart in time. So the valley to the west is 20 years in the past, and the valley to the east is 20 years in the future, etc. as you expand out from those valleys. The thing is, travel between these timey-wimey valleys is a huge crime unless you have a good reason to do it. You get approval from those in charge, and you're escorted there by trained guards. Odile is the main character in this book, and she's a 16-year-old who dreams of joining that council that decides who can travel between valleys, but she witnesses something that changes her present and her future forever. The moral complexities of this book are what make it so good. It's almost like the trolley problem in book form, where you have to weigh the pros and the cons of actions if you already know the consequences to those actions. See, Odile knows something devastating is going to happen, so should she try to stop it? And what happens if she doesn't? As I said earlier, it's time travel, but understated. Nothing too flashy here, just excellent suspense and characters who simply don't want to be haunted by their actions or inactions. Coming in at number 6 for me was First Contact, and maybe recency bias plays a part in this, or maybe I just like the cover art, it's beautiful. Either way, I really enjoyed this newish First Contact story with a couple of small twists. Aliens show up after an eclipse hoping to find what they need to save their home planet, but of course the military instantly quarantines them, causing the aliens' health to worsen and worsen. It's a bad beginning to human-alien relations. The main character, Renee, is hired to figure out what the deal is with these aliens, and her journey from shock to empathy is the heart of this book as she tries to communicate with August, and he's the alien who kind of seems in charge of their group of aliens. The evolution of their relationship, Renee and August, is well done, well paced, well planned in this book. Also, the book kind of just tosses in some fantasy elements that were unique, like a magical life force and the fact that these aliens look like demonic winged genies. The humans have to ask themselves some pretty tough questions as they interact with the neighbors. Like, do we choose fear or curiosity? Do we believe their motives or should we doubt them? And should we fight or should we just keep on talking? But it feels surprisingly fresh because you're not really sure who the bad guys are, who the good guys are. This meetup between aliens and humans has some gray to it. And while I'm not usually a fan of cliffhanger endings, this one works since the book is so short and it's just the start of a kind of a novella trilogy. My fifth favorite book this year was The Inverted World, and it starts simply with a city that's slowly moved by laying down tracks and pulling the city on those tracks. And it always has to move. It can't stop. Then the book adds on more layers as it goes to make this complex but fun mystery, adventure, sci-fi mashup. Hellward Man is the main character in this one. He's recently been inducted into a higher part of society that slowly clues him in to their city's predicament. So of course, we the reader discover the weird things about the world at the same time as Hellward does. The biggest mysteries are where the city is located and why these odd time things are happening near the city. It's a suspenseful page turner that hides just enough from you to keep you guessing and keep you want to keep reading. Now, the science-y physics parts of this book boggled my mind, went way over my head, but I got through those and was able to picture this crazy but realistic sounding setting, and the ending was rewarding as well. Serious sci-fi fans should definitely pick this one up. Okay, moving on to number 4, and that's Calculating God, in which a spider-like alien lands its ship right outside Toronto's Royal Ontario Museum and asks to see a paleontologist. And that's the weird and wonderful start to this book, which sets the stage as one of the most thought-provoking sci-fi books I've ever read. The story follows Tom Jericho, who's that paleontologist they're kind of looking for, and he's got his own personal stuff going on in the background, but he strikes up this unlikely friendship with an alien named Hollis. Now, it's clear from the jump that the aliens aren't here to conquer Earth or do anything like that. They're a scientific bunch who are more interested in fossils and the universe's big, big mysteries. In fact, Hollis soon shares with Tom that all of their scientific research has led them to believe in God, which sets the book up for a whole bunch of fascinating, deep conversations between Tom and Hollis about evolution, faith, and so much more. That being said, the book is big on big ideas and dialogue to get there. It's a sci-fi gem that I feel like does first contact in the most profound way I've ever seen. All right, snagging the bronze medal this year for me, my third favorite book of the year is The Last Picture Show. And I love reading books set in Texas, and this is one of the best ones I've ever read. Set in the dusty, dying town of Talia, I think that's how you pronounce it, in the 1950s, this novel follows high school seniors Sonny and Dwayne as they move toward adulthood with little guidance and a whole lot of reckless impulses. It's not a warm and fuzzy coming of age story. It's really unsentimental with the raw McMurtry writing that's like no other author. Things like loneliness and boredom play a big role here too as the teens try to achieve what they consider adult experiences. It's often kind of cringy as they fumble their way trying to figure out this transition from being kids to being grown-ups. And even better, nobody is a stock character in this one. No one's this two-dimensional flat character. From Sam the Lion to Ruth Popper to JC, the high schoolers and adults all feel like real, messy human beings. If you are a Texan or you just love small town settings with fantastic characters, this book should be on your TBR for the upcoming year. Getting the silver medal for me this year, my second favorite book that I read is Children of Time. This was an epic first contact story that made me root for spiders, smart spiders, to evolve and grow their civilization. And how I got to that point starts with the setup of humans searching for a new home planet. And they find a planet, and it was terraformed long ago, but a nanovirus intended to speed up the evolution of monkeys on that planet and kind of make them human-like actually does the job on spiders instead. So there's two threads here. The desperate humans on an old ship trying to survive long enough to land on a new planet, and the spiders who develop language. They have science and they have culture over thousands and thousands of years. With the rapid evolution element, because you see it really fast paced, it reminded me a lot of Dragon's Egg, which was one of my favorite books I read last year. You genuinely start to care about these aliens that are extremely different from humans, and that's what made it such an amazing page turner. And it all comes down to this, my gold medal winner for this year, the best book I think that I read in 2025 is A Sorceress Comes to Call. And I really love this book, and it's the first book in a long time that I just seriously binged, and I read it in, I don't know, a day or two. It's set in a world where sorcery is looked at as mostly small parlor tricks. There's one legit powerful sorceress, though, who also kind of happens to be a gold digger. Yeah, she wants to marry a rich man and set herself up for the good life, because sorceresses need to chase that cheddar too, y'all. But the evil sorceress has a daughter named Cordelia, who's been magically abused by her mom and ignored by her mom for the 14 years of Cordelia's life. So sadly, Cordelia is just absolutely terrified, nervous about every thought she has, every word she says, every action she takes. But she's an innocent, good-hearted kid that just wants to get away from her mom. As the evil sorceress tries to pull all the right moves to marry a rich guy, the book focuses on the perspective of Cordelia and the rich man's sister, Hester. It has subtle social maneuvering for power and really good dialogue that's kind of like a lighter version of the barbs that can get tossed back and forth in Game of Thrones. I especially love when Kingfisher hones in on the characters rather than the magic. This book doesn't dig deep into the nitty-gritty details of sorcery, really. Instead, it puts the spotlight on several wonderful, wonderful characters trying to wrap their heads around the magic that they have witnessed, which, again, they thought there's only small bits of magic. Turns out there's a whole lot more. And it's something that the reader can obviously relate to. There you have it, my top 10 books I read in 2025. Let me know in the comments what topped your charts this year. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my silly little channel. Happy reading in 2026.